Regional variants are a fairly new introduction to Pokemon. Having been around since Generation 7, they have been seen in every generation and region since. But what if the older Pokemon regions from before all of that had their own regional variants as well? We are going to be looking at what that could look like in this video, so let's go ahead and get right into it. The first region we are going to start with is the very first region of them all, and that would of course be Kanto. And I think if we ever got the chance to see some Kantonian form Pokemon in the future, that Kantonian Porygon Z would be a perfect candidate. And the reason why is due to Porygon Z's backstory. It was planned as another upgrade of Porygon 2, but the upgrade had a bug in it, which resulted in the glitched out Porygon Z. Therefore, Kantonian Porygon Z is a form of this Pokemon where the issue that created Porygon Z was fixed by Kanto's scientists, therefore showing off Porygon Z in a new and improved form as it was originally designed to be. Having this be a Kantonian form is also very fitting since Porygon was originally made in Kanto, and therefore it's only right that Kanto's scientists would be the ones to finally fix Porygon Z after all these years. In addition to fixing it though, these scientists have also fitted Porygon Z with a fresh coat of paint, as well as some upgrades, and this is what contributes to its new appearance, as well as to its new normal psychic typing. Personally, I have always hated how these Pokemon are all just pure normal types, when as digital Pokemon, and also some of the first man-made Pokemon ever, there is clearly nothing normal about them at all. So adding the Psychic type onto a regional Porygon Z like this would help to remedy this in my opinion. In general, this concept also just fits great with Kanto's theme of technology as well, so if we ever do get Kantonian forms in the future, I think there is a golden opportunity for something like this to actually happen, which would be pretty cool to see. Now we're going to move on to Johto though, and there is a stark contrast between the futuristic Kanto and the past-centric Johto, so this next Pokemon is going to be quite a bit different. Meet Johtonian Mandibuzz. This Pokemon has become a dark fighting type upon adapting to its new environment in the Johto region, and personally, I think this serves as a huge upgrade to the regular Mandibuzz, which also helps it to hold its own when compared to its regional counterpart. This is just my own opinion, but Mandibuzz is widely outclassed in comparison to its regional counterpart, Braviary, at least from a design perspective. I feel like almost no one would take a Mandibuzz over Braviary if they had the choice, and on top of that, Braviary also just got a regional form in Legends Arceus that Mandibuzz didn't get, which leaves this Pokemon even more in the dust than it already was. So it's only right that Braviary's sister Pokemon gets a regional variant of its own. And in what better region than in the sister region to where Braviary got its regional variant? With Johto and Sinnoh being so closely tied together, I feel like one of these Pokemon getting a variant in Sinnoh, which was Braviary, and then the other one getting one in Johto, just adds to the coolness of both of them as a whole. And more importantly for Mandibuzz in particular, it gives it a chance to have a cool design that once again can actually live up a little bit more to Braviary. That is why this variant of Mandibuzz is based on the white-rumped vulture, since they have a very unique and striking appearance to them that I felt like could really add to the coolness from a visual perspective of Mandibuzz's design. It also kinda is a bit of a low-key reference to Mandibuzz's original home of Unova in Pokemon Black and White, since this Pokemon is now very black and white in color. However, the main change with this Pokemon and its design is how it uses Mandibuzz's signature trait of wearing bones, and now converts that into a samurai motif, where the bones that it wears now become samurai armor. with the samurai theme obviously being reflective of Johto's Japanese origins. This is also where the fighting type originates for it too, and overall, I think this concept does an awesome job of making Mandibuzz a lot cooler, at least from my perspective anyway, because while I have never had any interest in using a Mandibuzz before, I would definitely catch this one if I ever found it in the wild in a future Johto title. Next up, we've got Hoenn, and like the Johtonian Mandibuzz design in Johto, I've got another one that I feel like is a perfect fit for the Hoenn region as well. This is Hoennian Florges, and in comparison to Kalosian Florges, it gains the Grass type to become Grass Fairy in this form. Florges not being a grass type despite being a literal flower plant creature has always been a bit of a head scratcher, so I feel like a regional variant would be a good way of addressing that. And in terms of a design concept, I thought that Hoenn would be the perfect fit for it. A big part of Florges' design is that it is based around European fashion, which is fitting since it is a Kalos Pokemon. But if it were to get a regional variant, this would obviously be something that would have to change. That is why I decided to go with Florges as my pick for a Hoennian form, since Hoenn is based on Japan, and Japan is well known for its own cultural attire in the kimono that a regional Florges could adopt beautifully. Going even further than that though, Hoennian Florges is not just based on a kimono in general, because it is more specifically based on a geisha, which is a female Japanese performer who specializes in more traditional Japanese performing art styles. Along with the kimono connection, I thought this would be a great fit for a regional Florges, since geishas are also known for their iconic white face makeup. And Florges already has a white face itself, and therefore would work as a geisha Pokemon all the more seamlessly. So this is another one that I think would be a golden opportunity to do if we ever got regional variants in Hoenn, and truthfully, it could also work in any other of the Japanese regions as well. So if something like that ever does come to fruition in a future game, I would love to see something like this happen. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to check out today's sponsor, my merch store. Picking up some merch greatly supports the channel and makes videos like this one possible, and there's a bunch of really cool stuff you can grab over there, like a Folkachi plush that comes with a limited edition Folkachi trading card, a Narwade plush, and even special preview booster packs from the upcoming Histrobi Chronicles trading card game, which is a trading card game that I am working on that's going to feature a bunch of my Fakemon. All of this merch is honestly extremely cool and also very high quality, and like I said, picking up something helps out the channel massively. So be sure to check it out with the link in the description, and now let's go ahead and get back to the Fakemon. For the next region, we would normally be moving on to Sinnoh, but Sinnoh has already gotten some regional variants with the Hisuian forms in Legends Arceus, so we are instead going to move on and look at Unova now. All of the variants that I've shown off to this point have all felt like perfect fits in their respective regions, and I think that's what makes regional variants all the cooler in general. And with this upcoming Unova form, I feel like it does the same thing with the Unova region. This is Unovan Phalanx, and right away you can probably tell that it's a fire type, but it also retains its fighting type as well to be a fire fighting type. And this has to do with what it is based on. Since Phalanx as a Pokemon is essentially a walking helmet, I thought a perfect variant for it would be a Unovan form that are based on football helmets. That felt like it translated so perfectly onto Phalanx's design, and from there, the rest of the design elements just fell right into place. As I mentioned, it retains the fighting type due to the physical nature of football, but it also gains the fire type due to the fiery passion that people have when they both watch and play football as well. Additionally, another reason why this was a perfect way to go in my opinion for a Unovan form is because another major part of Phalanx's design are the formations that all of the little heads create when they walk around and when they battle. In fact, Phalanx is literally known as the formation Pokemon. Therefore, Unovan Phalanx is also based on the formations that football teams set up in on every down before each play starts. And between that and the helmet aspect that I mentioned earlier, I feel like this is the kind of thing that regional variants were made for because it just fits together so perfectly. So if we do end up getting Unovan forms in the future, which is also very possible considering that the Unova games are next on the list to be remade, a Unovan Phalanx just like this is an absolute must in my opinion. Moving along though, the most recent region that has not yet seen the regional variant treatment, and the last one that we still haven't covered, is Kalos. Kalos has got a lot of potential in the way of regional variants thanks to its French aesthetic, and without further ado, one example of what a Kalosian form could look like is this Kalosian Watchog. Before we continue with him though, I do want to give a really quick shout out to my good friend RGreywind, who I commissioned the artwork from for all of these designs, so be sure to give him a look with the links in the description. Back to Watchog though, this variant is inspired by a couple of different things. First and foremost, it is inspired by the Black Plague, which is famously known to have decimated Europe in the 1300s and was also carried around by rats. This is why Watchog is the subject of this variant in particular as a rodent-based Pokemon, and whose pre-evolution also has rat in its name. Additionally, there has also been a bit of a propensity for giving the various Route 1 rodent mammal Pokemon a regional variant that is a Dark type, since we saw this in both Generations 7 and 8 with a Dark type Rattata and a Dark type Zigzagoon. So this variant of Watchog falls in line with that, as it is a Dark type as well. However, in also keeping with the Plague part of the Black Plague, Kalosian Watchog is also part Poison type too. And although I haven't really been covering abilities for these various variants, this Watchog would have to 100% have Poison Touch as its ability if it were actually included into a game. Overall, this one is a pretty straightforward design though, so that is pretty much it. And with that, that is what it could look like if the older Pokemon regions ever get the chance to have regional variants of their own. There is obviously a ton of potential here, so I genuinely hope that does happen, and if you think so too, be sure to let me know in the comments, and be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. I will see you all with another new video soon as well, so stay tuned for that, and until then, as always, thank you so much for watching this one, I really appreciate it, and I will smell you guys later.